this with Justin Guzman. Hey guys, I want to get right into this. For the show, there's going to be a lot of things that you hear that's going to require a deeper understanding of certain topics. And for example, I want to let you guys know that much of this show, much of what you're going to hear discussed at times may require an understanding of what a psychological operation is. And is it actually even a real thing? I'd like to start off by confirming its legitimacy. In other words, that it is real, by reading to you its actual definition from Wikipedia. And regardless of how you regard Wikipedia, if you use it for your source of definition or not, legitimizing this word in your own brain is easy. You can go to YouTube, you can look up the videos that are published by the 8th Psychological Operations Group. Funny name considering the fact that they are one of only 4 divisions on record of its kind, the 8th being based out of Fort Bragg. Now, aside from mainstream media, politics, and advertising, when it comes to the military, psychological operations, or psyop, is also known as MISO, Military Information Support Operations. And its logo is an image of a chess piece, the knight, or horse piece as many people call it. This is not an accident or coincidence by any means. Psychological warfare and the use of psychology against a group, individual, or government is a game of chess, not checkers. In other words, it's a thinking man's game. It isn't won through force or blatant bullying, but objectives are achieved through finesse. So knowing this, we all have a responsibility to ourselves, and especially if we're lucky enough to be raising kids, to be alert and help them maneuver in a world where domestic psyops are performed on us on a daily basis. Though they may not be carried out domestically by our military, these tactics are picked up by very influential entities and used, you got it, on us. So to answer the question, is the word psyop a real thing? It's definitely a real thing. Sad thing about it is these psychological operations started in the military for us to use overseas. They're mostly used on us nowadays. Where's my proof of that? Kind of what the show's about. Kind of some of the stuff we're going to discuss. But let me go ahead and just read as follows what the definition of a psychological operation is. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences, to influence their emotions, motives, and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. So right off the bat, it lets you know that people are delving into your psychology to go ahead and influence your emotions, your motives for doing things, and your objective reasoning, which to me is the most scariest part of this all. Is it okay to tamper with somebody's objective reasoning? In other words, their ability to objectively reason their environment, how to keep themselves safe, what's true, what's false, what's good, what's bad, what's up, what's down. If you can change the way a person thinks that way, you completely control that. I'll call them an avatar. You're no longer a person at that point. I'm sorry. And we all become this type of victim as a byproduct of our rate of consumption. You just consume on a daily basis. We all do. You consume the programming. Look at that word, the programming on TV. You consume radio. You consume this podcast. You consume, and I'm guilty of this, most of us are, consuming gluttonous amount of YouTube, IG. You know, we're on our phones for more parts of the day than we ever have been in history. That's not by accident. And to that point, I think the most responsible action we all can take to immediately gain an understanding of the actual psyop tactics used against us as consumers of these digital platforms is to watch a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. This documentary, or should I say expose on big tech, gives us firsthand testimonies on the likes of Facebook engineers and former presidents of the most popular household name applications we use on a daily basis. There they show you a play-by-play how they use psyop tactics to keep you glued to your phone or computer in a very unhealthy way, therefore creating a debilitating addiction for the user, you and I, an addiction that gets in the way of our day-to-day activities and our relationships. Point is, since the days of advertising dollars being invested into psychology to figure out how to advertise to you, to figure out how to get you to spend your money, what you spend your money on, when you spend your money, when's the best time to tell you about our product, how and what tone we should tell you it, what colors to use to make you hungry or to make you think creatively or whatever heartstring or mind string they're trying to pull at the time. Psychology has been used mostly against you since the government has picked it up as a tool. It's gone from advertising, as I say, to becoming a branch in the military, to becoming used against the United States' own population. If you were to tell somebody, hey, We're going to implement all these new rules starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. And if you don't follow them, you know, pretty much that's your ass. You're going to go to jail. Somebody's going to beat you. Somebody's going to throw you in handcuffs. Somebody's going to do something bad to you. Somebody's going to take away your rights. You'd want to fight that. You'd want to find all the alpha males in your group. You'd want to get out there, and even with the women and whoever else who was like-minded like you, get in the streets and say, no, look at my sign, stop the traffic, get in front of the building responsible for it, whatever, and try to just stop whatever was going on. Now, if you can invest some of your time and money into going ahead and jumping into that person's brain and rewiring and everything and taking the fight out of the dog, wouldn't that behoove you a little bit more than trying to throw an equal of that person? In other words, another human being in a suit, let's say a blue suit like a police officer, your equal, and putting your equal in front of you, telling you he's above you and telling you what you can and can't do. Human nature says we'll fight that. When you tell a child don't, what does he do? Religion. All the smartest forms of government, and that might be controversial what I just said right there, but all the smartest ways to govern people have never been with the stick or the sword or the gun or whatever you want to call it. It's always been with the pen or the voice, through the idea, right? So psychological operations are definitely real. They definitely exist. And sad to say, a lot of us are victims of psychological operations in this country. And that's the reason for the show. And that's the reason for posing these questions. That's the reason for starting these topics. That's the reason I'm here. I want people to start thinking objectively and then making up their own opinion about some stuff that doesn't even get light, yet has to do with our daily lives, how we're governed, how we're controlled, how we're advertised to.
A lot of people think Google's just a search box and Facebook's just a place to see what my friends are doing. What they don't realize is there's entire teams of engineers whose job is to use your psychology against you.